There's another part of this article that I found super vomit inducing, and that is Obama on whether he would have ever become a Republican when he was younger. In the United States, Obama said, speaking in the slow and deliberate style that was the basis for comics who mimicked him, there was a time where I might have been a Republican because Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. And at that time, it was the Republican Party that was opposing the expansion of slavery in the United States. Today, it's the Democratic Party that reflects the values that I spoke about at the Mandela lecture yesterday. And that doesn't necessarily mean that will always be the case. It doesn't mean that in every instance I have agreed with the Democratic Party platform. But broadly speaking, when you look at who's been concerned about broad-based economic growth, who's been concerned about civil rights, who has been most supportive in making sure that women are treated fairly in the workplace, who's supported collective bargaining, who has been most concerned with environmental issues, including climate change. Right now, that's happening to be the Democratic Party. And again, that wasn't always the case. There used to be more variation in different ideological views, even within the parties, so you might have more flexibility. Oh yeah? I mean, granted, the Republican Party obviously does not stand for any of the things he just listed. The Republican Party does not stand for any of the things he just listed. But since when has the Democratic Party been fighting for these things so hard? There's a couple. I mean, go down the list. What is he talking about? Who's been concerned about civil rights? Black men are getting executed all over this country. The Democratic Party, who has control of the House, hasn't done a damn thing about that. Obama did very little when he was president, when black men were being mowed down all around America. Civil rights. What did Obama do to curb, to try and bend and shrink discrimination in hiring among black people? A government jobs program for black people who, right out of the gate, are have at a disproportionate disadvantage in higher education, in getting employment, in what they make. Then you move to collective bargaining. The Democratic Party, read Thomas Frank's great book, Listen Liberal. The Democratic Party is the party that had abandoned the unions. Yes, Ronald Reagan took the first axe to try and do the union bashing. But the Democratic Party abandoned unions since dating back to the 1970s. Collective bargaining? Oh yeah? I'm about to get to this story next. Here's what the Democratic Party's idea of collective bargaining is. Here's that blackface governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, who Tom Perez of the DNC, you remember those emails you were getting in 2017? We must elect Ralph Northam as governor of Virginia. This was before it was known that he was doing blackface years before. Yeah, Democratic Party's so great. Northam trying to uphold right to work in Virginia. Not to mention all the other Democratic governors who have basically told unions, including Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York, I'm not your ally, and have been hostile to unions. The Democratic Party, I don't know what Obama is talking about. He either is delusional or just intentionally lying. This is not to say that you're better off with the Republican Party. You're not good with either of them. The Democratic Party gives more lip service to these causes than the Republican Party. The Republican Party is open. We're not for civil rights. We're not for collective bargaining. We're not for any of these things. So, I think this only needs to embolden Bernie Sanders' campaign and his supporters more. Because you're clearly not just up against 17 candidates and now Bloomberg is out there with $30 million that he's flushing down the toilet. You're not just up against MSNBC, CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Associated Press, all of them. But behind the scenes, Obama is clearly prepared. If Bernie were to win Iowa, let's say, Obama is clearly, either directly or indirectly, going to step in to try and derail Bernie Sanders' momentum. And this is why they have never cared about threats to democracy. This is why Russia was always a distraction, was always an excuse, because they don't care about meddling into elections. They care about meddling into the pro-corporate business status quo. And if their candidate that is there to protect and keep that pro-business status quo elevated, if that candidate is threatened, he or she, whether it be by Russia or anybody else, that's when they start crying about unholy attacks on our democracy. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.